Hi, hello. Warm
Hello.
greetings. Yeah, warm greetings and welcome to Coffee with Estera, dear audience. Back, dear respected, precious audience and esteemed academician, experts from all around the world. We are privileged to bring to you another prominent personality today in Women in STEM. She's an icon. Her name is Dr. Abigail Gunopol from Argentina for you. So let me give a short intro about her. She has a PhD in physics from Faculty of Exact and Natural Science of University of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Her field of expertise is the management of low Earth orbit satellite mission operations. She has been a team leader during the design, implementation, validation, and operations execution of different satellite missions and was honored by NASA for her work in one of these missions. Wow. For several years, she worked on developing and implementing a continuous improvement method with a lesson learned process as its core. She is also a faculty professor. She is passionate advocate for nature. She is an active member of her community, civil defense, as part of her commitment to gender equity causes. She was appointed in 2023 mentor for UNOSA, UNOOSA, UNOSA Space for Women program. And in December 2024, she was invited to join Saktisat mission as Argentina's ambassador. She's also an author, and so we both are on the same can say spaceship with Saktisat. Yeah, Abigail, welcome,
Yes,
Dr. Abigail. Yeah,
that's right.
welcome,
That's all
welcome.
right.
It's really nice to see you today. So our coffee at Estera is a host of very important people, experts, you know, experts who are not ordinary experts. These are unique people, okay, especially like this women in STEM space. So we are proud to bring in all the women to motivate other women and female child from young. Yeah, so I think this coffee at Estera is not only for adults, experts, but also for young children, so that we sow them good seeds for future. Yeah,
Yeah,
to motivate them. So to start the session, Abigail, let's have coffee.
let's toast.
Cheers. Amazing. I must have my coffee. I take coffee with milk. How about you? Do you take coffee with milk?
I love coffee, but it doesn't suit me well. So now I have tea instead.
Just take whatever is suits you and what you are happy with. Yeah. So okay. Are you ready for the question?
Please, yes.
Yes, awesome. So the first part, we have three part. Okay, one about personal journey, one about your professional journey, and we have rapid fire. It's very interesting, right? To just
Okay.
take we have some light moments, yeah. So I will start with your personal journey. Yeah, Abigail, can you share with us a bit about your childhood? What experience or influences shaped you, who you are today?
Okay. So the first thing I want to start with is how privileged I was to be raised by the people that raised me, my mom, my dad, my grandmothers, and because I had a lot of support for my journey. So,
Wow.
and I think it's so important. So that's the first thing I want to highlight, because I perhaps wouldn't be here if would have done something different from what they did. So my first memory regarding my passion which is astronomy. It's space, but it started with astronomy or astrophysics. I don't know. I didn't know the term at the moment, but my very, very first memory from my childhood is when I was around 2 or 3, perhaps, under 3. And my dad woke me up and put me over his shoulders to see Venus, and he woke me up and he showed me, and he said, "This is Venus, planet Venus." So that's my first memory. I don't know if I had showed some kind of interest before. And
yeah, sorry. How old were you that time? How old
I was under 3.
Under 3, so young. Wow.
That's my first. That's my first very. Yeah, so that's my very first vivid memory from my childhood. I have other memories from pictures, from photos, but that's my first memory from a situation I remember living. So I don't know what came first, right? I don't know if I already have shown some kind of interest and then my dad did that, or if it was the other way around. My father thought it was interesting to show it to me, and then I got interested after that. But it doesn't matter, because the point is not the initial condition, the initial seed, but the fact that after that I showed a lot of interest. And my parents, they encouraged me all along my journey. And I asked questions, and they were always interested
Yeah,
in answering these questions and stimulating more questions on me. And yes, and at some point I started, they bought me a book. I have a book. I don't have it here. I would like to share it, but I don't have it on in this table. Well, it's the best book I've ever had on astronomy.
What's the title of the book?
The Solar System. It's in Spanish, but the Solar System. And
I remember. I still had it.
On one page, it has the explanation, the theoretical explanation of a given subject. For example, I don't know, the solar system, and you have a picture with all the planets, and then you have some exercises. So there's an exercise like where you have to identify the first planet of the solar system and put a red or blue page over to with some windows to check the right answer. And I used to read it when I was 4 or 5 with my dad, 5 perhaps, with my dad and my mom, and then they always encouraged me and stimulated my need for more knowledge, right? And then I started at some point when I was like 7. I was around to start school, so I was 6, 7. I started asking questions like, where does the universe end, and what's outside, and is it growing, is it expanding, or I didn't use this term, but is it expanding or collapsing, and how does it work? And they have no answers, of course, because there were no answers.
But even they explain to you, you don't understand. Yes, too young. Yeah.
Very curious. So they didn't have the answers. So I remember being shocked because the adults that were raising me, my family, they didn't have answers. That was the first time I was confronted with that reality.
Wow.
They didn't have all the answers. So at some point I realized, but they didn't have the answers, but they did something amazing. It was just the time where Stephen Hawking just had the book, A Brief History of Time. So my parents, they bought this book and they read this book, and they tried to explain to me to digest the concept of this book. And it's pretty amazing because at some point I understood that, okay, they don't know, but people that are experts, they don't know either. So okay, I have to find out the answers. So that was the moment where I decided I was going to find the answers. I was going to study something. that would
curiosity.
allow me to find these answers. Of course, I didn't, but but that was the moment, and then my life continued the same way, right? I talked a lot about what I learned later. It was called
Uh-huh.
astrophysics and cosmology. I asked a lot of answers. They bought me books, and I had lots of questions. And then at some point, when I finished school, I had to choose a career, and I studied physics because I thought it was the
But then did you like wanted to go do? Yeah, you learned physics, but did you already plan at that time to learn about space astronomy and
Yes,
all that? Right?
I decided I
Ah,
wanted to study something that would allow me to find these answers. And I was, at some point, I discovered there was something called supermassive black holes at the center of galaxies. And I was like, I want to know what this is.
yes.
So I studied. When I had to choose a career, I chose the career I thought that would be better for my to develop this kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
Quite simultaneously during my last, perhaps during high school, or perhaps a bit earlier, but yeah, high school perhaps, yeah. Um, I was I discovered space, right? Not astronomy and all that, but space from the point of view of space missions. Because I watched movies, and I saw people on the control rooms, and I remember watching the Apollo 13 movie with Gene Kranz, and I said, okay, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to work on. I want to be this man. I
No, I
want to
can
be.
still remember when you are no, like when you are mentioning how you first started and all. It really took me to my childhood as well. Only that a very short time, I had some interest, but not really keen to do something because maybe my awareness is not that good, you know. Then slowly, we do some lot of activities on planets and all. We do collage, and then we were given the activities in school for under geography, so all this planet. That's what I know. After that, I moved slowly to I became a maths person. That's where my interest changed. And then I have many interests. So, but this is really unique. It's not an ordinary profession to pursue. Because but
No,
not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that because many people hate physics and maths.
I think, I don't know if
What do you
um,
say?
I think it's very important to have support from the adults that surround you.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
it makes so much the difference to having, and that's a privilege.
yes,
I didn't do anything to
yeah,
be worth of
agree.
that. I just was born in the family I was born, and I think it's a privilege to have had this chance, because um, they allowed me
Allowing
to
itself is
thrive
already motivation.
in whatever area I wanted to develop
Uh,
myself, and that's
You see, our
pretty
parents, they
amazing.
might not be highly educated or maybe they are in different fields, but the encouragement, they allow you, they motivate you to do, they
Yes,
provide you all the facilities, all that you need to do what you want to do. That itself is something which is very precious because
yes,
without that, you see, like my father is not a professional, you see.
yeah,
It's just doing a layman job. But the encouragement my parents give, that is so precious, like what your
yes,
parents did, the
yes,
adults around you did. So it is very important. I think parents out there should motivate the children. Like now in Saktisat, we are having this STEM, uh, you
yes,
know, uh, building up satellite and all that. So we are giving many female students the opportunity,
yes,
because not all female students have interest in engineering, physics, and this type of high level engineering. You see, many of them, they do normal. Mostly men are more keen in that. So here we have to motivate the children. If you see in Malaysia, day by day, less and less students taking up STEM subjects.
Yes, but it's not. I think it's not about being a woman and trying to encourage women and girls to start something that they are not normally suited for. It's exactly, it's the other way around. It's just exposing
Yeah.
girls and young women to the same amount of information related to science and technology that we expose boys and men. So, and not only related to science, it's the games we play in childhood, the toys we use, the language we talk to a girl and we talk to a boy, right? Like
Yes.
girls are talked to with usually, with language, gender biased language, with like you're pretty, you're beautiful, sweetie, whatever. And boys, they are courageous, they are brave, they are strong. And then no, every
Mm.
child should deserve to be taught the same way and to have
Yes.
access to the same kind of information,
Yeah.
no matter his gender, and and then they will naturally choose what they want. And
Mm.
I think in my case it was also very important that my family and my family friends, the adults that surrounded me, and also in school, they never told me I wouldn't be able to do something. They always encouraged, even if I wanted to do something that there was no answer at the moment, right?
Yes.
And the most brilliant people in the world, they had no answer to my questions. They never said, no, it's too difficult, you're not going to make it, because if he doesn't make it, you can't. I never
Can't.
heard that. They always encourage me, like, okay, you go and study and you discover whatever you want, and you are
Yeah.
able, you are capable. And that was like so important. It's so
Mm.
important that we as adults do that with young people, with
Yes.
the younger
Exactly.
generations.
Mhm. Because
So
nowadays, you see, like what you say, why it's so important. So parents got to know. I know it's getting, life's getting very hectic, and you are getting more and more busier. Especially for women, you come back, you work outside. Once you come back home, you also work at home, attend to children, attend to a lot of things. So until you sleep, you are busy. But the most important thing is that we have to spend time with children, nurturing them in the area they are interested. We can tell stories. Telling stories can tell stories about planet, can tell story about galaxy, to motivate them to learn
yes,
more, to feel more curious about learning about all this astronomy and space. Yeah. Okay. Now, can I ask you the next question?
yeah,
Yes.
go on.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Your sharing is very edifying. Okay,
Thank
what
you.
hobbies or activities do you enjoy outside your work? And do they connect in any way with your passion for space?
Okay, so I for many years, for over 10 years, I trained figure skating.
Ah, wow. Ah,
Yeah, when I was younger. Not anymore,
wow.
because there is not an ice rink where I live, so that's very bad for me. But there's not an ice rink, so I can't skate anymore. But
Ah,
I love reading.
ah,
um, I'm an avid reader. I I'm currently taking singing lessons
mm,
to overcome a childhood trauma.
yes, yes,
and
yes.
um, and then I'm a dancer, so I dance Irish dance.
Irish dance.
Yeah,
Wow.
like
So
like
that Irish dance career, I must see. I cannot remember watching anything.
Lord of the Dance, but I'm not that good. I'm
Jumping
sorry.
like the
It's so
Romanians.
difficult.
They like to jump and dance with a long skirt and all that.
No, it's
Is that
more like yeah, Irish dance, like Lord of the Rings. Um, it's such a beautiful dance that I'm not that
I
good
have
at.
to I have to I have to go to the YouTube and search for that
Yeah,
dance.
no, it's
Because
amazing.
of
It's
you.
so beautiful and so
Yeah,
difficult to do it
yeah.
well. Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, now shall we move to the next question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were there any particular teachers or mentors who inspired you during your school years, which drawn you into this space industry?
Well,
Were there any particular teachers
during
or mentors?
my childhood or my teenage years, well,
Ah,
my family were I consider
your
my
first
first
mentor.
mentors were
Yeah.
my mom, my dad, my grandmothers, and
Ah,
they were the first ones. And then I had some teachers in high school, especially a physics teacher, a couple of physics teachers that they encouraged me also. I think the most important uh, mentors I had were my own family.
wow.
The first ones and the most important, I think,
You
in
see,
my child.
during your childhood, if you have your parents as your mentor, you are very blessed because many children are neglected by parents. They don't have parents,
Yes,
and all that. They don't have people to love them even from young. So when we get all that, we are so blessed. And they are obviously every parent are the first mentor for a child. If your parents treat you well, like you, what you said, they motivate you, they encourage you, they support you, and the child will grow to be a very supportive person.
yes.
The child will grow to be a unique leader naturally. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I owe everything I was able to do after. I think it was my very privileged, unique initial condition of being raised by the 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 family I was raised by.
yeah, I'm even surprised your grandma also, uh, was one of the person who was motivating you. Yeah.
Yes, and also, very important because I didn't see it at the time, but in retrospective, I can see it now. The fact of having been raised by very strong women, like my
Mm,
mother, my grandmothers, and because I didn't know my grandfathers, but I knew both of my grandmothers, and they were very strong women.
mm.
And also, um, I was never raised like uh, you can't do this because you're a girl, or uh,
Ah, yes.
I wasn't raised. I never knew uh, gender. I wasn't worried about my gender, or if I could do something because I was a girl and not a boy. These
Mm.
problems came very late when I started working in the space industry.
You see, when we grow, we become adult. That's the time
Yeah.
we entertain a lot of wrong things as well. When we have
Yes.
a child, we can easily absorb. We just need motivation and opportunities.
I was
Yeah.
never told I couldn't do something because I was a woman
Yeah.
until I started working in the space industry. Until that
Okay.
moment, this is 15 or 20 years ago, uh, but the first I don't know 25 years of my life, I was never told that I couldn't do something because I was a woman, and it was very
Yeah.
important. And I was raised like, um, yeah, I was a girl, but I could do the same things, and I was treated
Wonderful.
like, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is very important
Yeah.
also.
Again, dear. Also, how your parents treat you. Yeah. If they just uh, always tell you, "Oh, you're a girl, you can't do this, you can only do this," then you will not grow to become a better person. I see, like what you say, I think we have a lot of things similar when it come to family, you see. So like my parents also will, my father especially, he always treat me like his son. He will tell everybody, this is my son. And he make me do a lot of things on my own. And I tell you, it's a blessing. That's why, you see, so
Yes,
every parents must do this, provide this opportunity to their children, so that especially girls, so that they will become strong, even uh, physically and also spiritually. You see, when you
yes,
do a lot of activities physically, you also become strong, and also spiritually, in your spirit, you become inside your mind, your heart. Your
yes,
soul is very strong. You see, so you
yes,
can withstand all the challenges. You'll be a fighter. You'll be a fighter, not a nominal woman. Yeah,
Yes,
fighter means not with people, but fight and take up every challenges which comes across your path. Yeah.
yes, and
So
also have female role models in every area, not only in space. In every area there should be a lot of female role models, so that
yeah,
girls and young women can see, can feel related to. They can see real women doing whatever they do, and saying, okay, I can, if she can do it, I can do it.
I can do it. Yeah, why can't we do? Yeah, ask
Yeah.
them how they do, right? So anyway, we all are going to just, hopefully by God's grace, we all will meet, all the wonderful women will meet in
Yes.
Saktisat's event at the end of the year. We have to thank to Dr. Srimati
Yes.
Kesan for this golden opportunity. And to do this, you have to have a kind heart, a
Yes.
heart to share. So then you can do, because it's not easy to bring
No.
108 countries
No.
together. Yeah, 108 different heads together.
Yeah.
You
No.
know,
It's very complex to coordinate 108
yeah,
people from 108 countries with different backgrounds and time zones, and each country with its own particularities, right? Its own difficulties to handle uh, the different issues, and also within each country it's also difficult to coordinate the whole activity. So it's a very ambitious and very and complex, but very inspiring project. And I think it's so important that young girls can have, it's like a mission from made by women for women. And I think it's so important for girls to have the chance to see other women older than them doing the things that they might do sometime soon in their lives.
yes,
So
Abigail, it's so motivating. What you are sharing with us is
yeah,
so interesting and motivating. I think many of our audience will be very happy, and I thank all the audience who are with us today, and especially to my good close friends, my great supporter, Inga. Sasha Willie from Georgia. Hello, Inga. And my dearest friend, Rania Lampu, Dr. Rania Lampu from Greece. She's also our ambassador in Saktisat, right? Abigail? Dr.
yes,
Rania is from Greece. Yeah, thank you. Come, let's go to the next interesting part. I told you got three parts. Okay, now I go to another interesting part, rapid fire. Are you ready for the rapid
I'm
fire?
ready.
It's so
Go
simple
on.
things. Yeah, you can say funny things, no problem. Okay, yes, come. The first question. If you could go to the space tomorrow, would you?
Yeah.
Very fast. That's very fast. Because you are a, you
When
know,
I'm gonna tell you something, because
yeah.
when I was like around 8 or I don't know, 9 perhaps, there was this TV show. It was called, I don't know the name in English, but it was extraterrestrial invasion. Like there were uh, uh, yeah, they were lizard, I think, with human shape that came to conquer the earth, and then it was a mess. But when we used to play to these in the breaks when we were in school, and then I remember my friends, my friends, they wanted to get married with someone, and we were like 9, something
Ah,
like that. And I didn't think about marriage at the time because I was
ah,
a child. And
ah,
but then I came to realize, oh, perhaps I can marry a being from another planet, and then we go on a honeymoon on the spaceship, and then I discover all the things I need to discover, and then I come here and I win a Nobel Prize. That was my whole thing.
wow. That's interesting. Really, really fun. Yeah. Okay, now shall we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, next rapid question will be fire. Yeah, one book or movie that inspired you the most. I think you mentioned about the book at the beginning. You
Oh,
just one book
well,
or movie that inspired you, Star Wars or anything, whatever.
well, from the professional aspect, um, I was inspired by the Apollo 13 movie, yes. But I like, I don't know, I read so many books and things and very diverse things. So I get inspired by books on feminism to know other women that were
Yes.
so I read so much, so many things, but I also like science fiction, for example. So for example, I read the whole Asimov Foundation books, and I like it, and sometimes I feel we are not very far from that.
I think
From
when you have your friends gathered, I think you can talk any topics, because since you read a lot, you're very curious. No, even with me, sometimes I share with my, because I learn like what you say. Why I'm sharing this about me also, because a lot of people ask me, why you know so many things? How come you can do so many things? Why 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 shouldn't we know many different things? Why should
yes,
we be
of
boring?
course,
Yeah, you know you should
yes,
be able to know. You might not be mastering something, but at least you must know what is happening around, what is important in life you know so
yes,
sometimes I even advise my male friends when they have problems, because I read a lot about men's behavior more than female behavior, because I'm a female. It's not that I know much, but I do read. But I read a lot about male behavior, so I know how to assess males' behavior to certain extent. You see, so so it seems like so interesting. I think very sure that you can talk many topics, because you are a very interesting person. You
yeah.
love
Thank you
reading
very
a lot.
much.
Yeah. Let's go to the third one, before we go back again to your professional questions. Coffee or tea? What fuels you for the workday?
Now tea.
Tea, yeah. Coffee you cannot take. Okay.
No, I can't drink
Okay.
much.
Now,
I really love it, but I can't drink much.
yeah. But anyway, it's not good to drink too much. And do you like thick coffee or light coffee? Medium or light coffee?
No, medium to or light,
Yeah.
because it makes me feel very bad. So I can
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. Very
I drank
seldom.
a lot of coffee while in my PhD years. I like 1 liter of coffee per day, perhaps. It was
Wow.
incredible. But then when I got pregnant, and then the first years I was with my daughter,
Mhm.
I stopped all
Yeah.
coffee in my
Very
life,
bad. It's very bad.
and
Exactly.
then I don't have the habit anymore. It doesn't
Wow.
suit me well, but I'm a tea person. I love tea. I have
Yeah.
like 10 different varieties of tea.
When I was I think I was in high school. I'm a bookworm as well. I like to read late night, until late night, because our place is very noisy. So I had to wait for people to sleep, and I start reading. And I drink a lot of coffee. So one day my mom took me to the doctor, I think for something, and doctor said, "Oh, I think you don't have red blood inside your body. You have black coffee. So better stop. Other than that, your blood will turn black." I mean, I was very young. I was so frightened by what the doctor is trying to say. It's so dangerous. So I reduced so much drinking coffee. Yes, I was addicted to coffee. And
Yeah.
those days, we don't have quality coffees like now. Cheap coffees, and all that. Of course, my parents. I don't come from a very rich family, average family, so I don't drink very rich and quality coffee. So which is very bad. You see, sometimes they have mixture and all that.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So now, uh, if you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be? If you have to describe about yourself one
Just
word.
one. Just one word.
Actually, there's so many, but just say whatever you think you like. One word.
Um, Passionate for
Passion.
whatever I
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Exactly. I can concur with you, because I see you are very passionate in a lot of things. Even reading, you are so passionate. So this means you will also you can do a lot of things. You know. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Lovely answer.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we go back again to some questions about your work, professional role at Leo
Yeah.
satellite operations. So more
Okay.
serious, so that our audience can learn about what you are doing there. You know. So
Yeah.
can we call you as space engineer, aerospace engineer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, right.
I'm not an
That
engineer actually, but you can call me that.
okay. I give you good vibes. Aerospace engineer. Okay. Can you walk us through a typical day in your role at Leo satellite operations? What you do
Well,
normally?
it depends mostly on the role you're actually having. I started as a flight engineer. My first contact with satellite operations, LEO satellite operations, was as a flight operations engineer, and this is like I like to call it like the satellite doctors because
Oh, okay.
because what you do in the design phase, you design all you try to learn from the satellite to understand how the satellite works, all the subsystems and all that, and then you design all the command sequences in order to be able to command the satellite to do whatever it shall do, it needs to do once on orbit. And then you try to identify all the variables, the telemetry variables that will allow you to understand if the satellite state of health is right or wrong. And you try to identify the actions you need to take if the state of health is not adequate. And um, you also need to identify all the flight rules you need to follow in order to operate the satellite. So that's mostly flight engineering operations. And then in that time well, in the design phase, I studied a lot and tried to understand and design with my team all the sequences and identify the telemetries and the flight rules. And then once the satellite is on orbit and you have to operate it, there are different phases. So you don't do the same things when the satellite is just being launched into the orbit, and then you have an initial phase that is called launch and early orbit phase, which is the initial checkout of the satellite state of health. Once the launcher separates the satellite, you have the launcher and you have the satellite. The launcher separates the satellite into
Wait,
its
after some time. Yes.
orbit, and the satellite starts orbiting in a given orbit, close to the target orbit to which it was designed for. And then when the satellite, the first couple of orbits are called early orbits because they are the first orbits, and then that's the first time you see the satellite on its on the proper environment for which it was designed for. And well, you study in these first orbits, you check out all the systems to see it's working, and then you move quite quickly for LEO missions. You move quite quickly to what is called the commissioning phase or in orbit test phase. It has many names, but it's the same. It's the checkout of the satellites. So you study each and every subsystem, each and every payload in order to characterize the satellite, and also to if it's needed to take the satellite to its target orbit for which it was designed to fulfill, for example, the science criteria, right? So you need a given height. So perhaps the launcher left you in a lower orbit or a higher orbit, and you need to slightly adjust. You do
Okay.
the things. You turn on every payload, and you analyze how it's working. You characterize the payload and you need this initial period in order to know what is your baseline what is the baseline of the satellite you are currently having, because before that you tested your satellite as you are going to operate it, but you test it on Earth, and conditions are very different. The environment, even if you try to
Of course.
reproduce many things, you can't
Mm.
reproduce everything. So the satellite will inevitably behave differently once it's on orbit in its real environment. So you discover
Exactly.
your real satellite in this period, and then you move, once you have characterized the whole thing, then you move to what are called routine operations. That are the operations, it's usually the longest period of the mission, um, for which the satellite was actually built for. So, for example, you have a payload that allows to measure, I don't know, sea surface salinity or sea surface temperature, and then uh, these are the main operations. And of course, you do some maintenance activities to adjust the orbit or to avoid collision with
Ah,
space
okay.
debris or whatever. But this period is intended to fulfill for a research
Never
mission,
mention your, yeah.
fulfill the science requirements. There are many types of missions. So
Yes.
I'm talking specifically of scientific missions. But
That is great.
then,
Very, very technical. You see, very, very technical.
yeah,
It's okay. You see, we learn new things every time. So it doesn't matter. You see, we don't understand. If we continuously persist in listening about all this more, reading more, watching more. Now we have YouTubes and all that. Then we day by day we will know. We'll have good. We will have knowledge. Like now, ever since I involved in Satisat, I'm more keen about learning about satellite and all this. I say it's interesting. And
yeah,
I've already signed up to do this space lessons with Europe uh, aerospace this thing. So it's so if I can learn, why not, right?
yeah,
Yes.
of
So
course,
knowledge is very good. It always keep you young. It keep your mind working.
yeah.
Sharper. It becomes sharper and all. Okay, what are the challenges? Biggest challenges you face in managing low Earth orbit satellites? First, you
Um,
explain what is low Earth orbit satellites.
it's
Then,
satellites that orbit the Earth below 2,000 meters, and typically around uh, um, 1,000 meters, to
1,000
six,
meters. That low
600,
orbit,
700, 1,000 meters.
low Earth orbit
Kilometers, I'm
satellite.
sorry.
So, what are
Kilometers,
the
kilometers. Sorry.
kilometers? Yeah. So
Yeah.
challenges you face here to manage. What are the challenges you face to
Um,
manage
um,
low Earth
well,
orbit satellites? What are the
I
challenges?
think that the a great challenge comes in the testing phase before launching, because um, it's very difficult to one key aspect that is very difficult to test and to be certain you can fully test is the flight rules, and to be sure you are complying with the operations with all the flight rules. It's a very difficult thing to do. And so then when you are operating, the satellite will sometimes, from time to time, will show an anomalous behavior, perhaps, and you have to solve it. And one thing you need to learn to control and is not to rush into the solution and to do something. Okay, let's fix it. No, you need to be very calm,
Come,
very
yes.
um, to think a lot. And sometimes the best thing to do is, okay, let's do nothing and try to understand what's happening. And this doing nothing is
Not easy.
actually not easy, because in a Leo mission,
Yeah.
um, you don't see the satellite the whole time. It's not like you have the satellite 24 hours
Yeah.
there. You only
Uh-huh.
see it around 10 minutes each pass. And
Mm.
then you have the number of passes you have per day, which depend on the ground stations you have, uh, uh, your mission has. And so perhaps you see your satellite, I don't know, less than 1 hour per day, less than 1 hour per day, and
Mm.
sometimes even less, half an hour. So you see it 3 or 4 times per day during 10 minutes. And you have 10 minutes to identify if the satellite is okay, the satellite state of health is okay, and if it's not okay, to understand if you need to do something during this pass, or you just can think about this. And then 10 minutes is not a lot. Obviously you can't improvise. It's something you can't improvise. Operations are not improvised, an improvised activity. You have procedures, and you work on procedures. And then if something is not working and you don't know what to do, the best thing to do is do nothing.
Do nothing. Okay.
And it's
That's
very
the most
difficult,
common thing.
actually. It's very, very difficult to say, okay, no, do nothing. Even if it's all on fire and you don't know what's happening, if
Ah,
you are not certain that this is the action you have to take, then do nothing. And it's very difficult. It's like a mind thing more than anything.
you are giving such a brilliant sharing, very insightful. And I think people who don't know what is satellite, what's happening out there, I think they have some ideas now, and they like, I'm sure they find it interesting. Yeah. Okay, this is the last question, because I
Okay.
think you have answered a lot of questions and you did it so well. Okay, what was how can you say that, how do you see satellite technology evolving in next 10 years, and what role Argentina will play in this advancement? What
Oh,
do you see satellite? How do you see satellite technology evolving in next 10 years? And what role will Argentina play in advancement?
well, I think, well, satellite technology has evolved a lot from the moment I started working on this sector. And now more and more, this is the new space era. So more and more missions are uh, being launched, small missions. And it's getting easier and easier for people with no perhaps no space background to have to launch a, a satellite in universities, in schools. In It's more democratic for every country and more easy, because with very small amount of money you can launch your mission, right? With very
Yes.
very small amount of money. So a small mission, right? But you can do it. It's something that wasn't easy before.
Yeah.
Um, there's also on the other side, this brings another problem, a very very huge problem we have in the space community, which is the large amount of uncontrolled space debris that are
Yeah.
generated in
Yeah,
the
I heard
low.
that they're going to have an industry. Many countries are working, especially US, China, and all, to have to remove
And
the debris in the space. And it is becoming another industry now, business.
yes, and it's very difficult because many missions at the beginning, there were very few countries that had access to space, and the Earth wasn't crowded. The Leo region wasn't crowded with satellites. So perhaps no one thought about, okay, what do we do with the satellite once it's not it's
Function.
when we it's not functioning anymore, when we have to dispose of that. And there was not a need for that. But then it became more and more important to plan how are we going to dispose of these
Manage.
missions. But in order to dispose of the missions,
Yeah.
satellites have to have some kind of technology, which for quite big missions, you can perhaps plan it. But for these small satellites, the CubeSats and all that, it's harder because you need to allocate a propulsion subsystem, and many of them, most of them, they don't have propulsion, so you can't deorbit them. You have to wait for them to deorbit, and it takes a lot of time. And while they are naturally decaying, they are a space debris, uncontrolled space debris. So
Control
you need
to know this industry to the waste management for these debris are also very costly, right? Because
yes,
it's not happening on Earth, it's happening in space. Because I was watching one of the documentary on this quite some time ago, and I saw how this they make a satellite or something to go up there and suck all the debris from the orbits, the space.
yes, there are many ideas, but it's not easy to implement them. And also, the problem is with the democratization of space and the new space era is that okay, big space agencies, they need to comply to deorbit their satellites. So because they are the national institutions, but the private sector, the small industries, they don't need to comply with anything. They are not regulated the same way, and in the different countries, and it's very difficult because it finally comes down to being responsible of, okay, I'm going to send something, I need to be responsible and
To
try
bring it back.
to do
Yeah.
something with that. And it's very hard because not everybody does it, or um,
Ethical,
the possibility,
ethical
because it's not
practices.
being responsible in terms of, oh, I'm gonna I don't care. It's perhaps you don't know how to, you don't have the resources, and it's not still very well regulated. So the Leo region is very
Yeah.
problem.
Wow, wow, you're so interesting. I just feel like can go on and on and on. Abigail, Abigail, one thing. If you have a chance to visit another planet, which planet would you like to go?
Oh, if
Ah,
I could choose. I don't know if I could solve the quality of life in that planet.
ah, yeah. Uh, you better
Perhaps
go where there's water,
I
where you
don't
can go and
know.
plant some
I don't
vegetables.
know if
And
I would live in another planet, but I would like to travel
yeah,
from planet to planet to learn to
wow,
be there. It would be quite
that's
unhealthy,
nice.
to live in Jupiter, for example, but perhaps
Yeah.
some Jupiter moon, and also Pluto. I love Pluto. It's so beautiful. It's not a planet anymore,
Uh-huh.
but
It's
very,
not a planet anymore. Why?
no,
Share with our
because
audience.
the concept of planet has evolved, has changed through the years, and so I think it was in
That's the
2008 or
smallest
6
planet, right? Pluto
in
is the most
20.
furthest, from.
Pluto
Uh,
was the last planet we all studied
uh,
in school, but now
uh,
it's not a planet anymore since
yeah,
2006,
I
I think,
remember reading or
because
watching.
it they say in order to be a planet, it has to be able to clean its orbit, its orbital space,
Oh,
and it's not it he for
it's not doing
Pluto
that.
hasn't. There are the other celestial bodies sharing the orbit, and they are like sort of competing,
Uh-huh.
and so he's not the dominant gravitational object in his orbit for
Great, great,
now. But
great. Yeah,
I know, I think, like everything in science, it's dynamic, it changes all the time. Definitions change, uh, and perhaps we have Pluto as planet sometime soon. If the
yeah,
definition evolves, because it's a matter of how a definition evolves through
great.
time. The planet Pluto is going to do whatever he does, no matter
Yes,
what we do in Earth, how we define things
yes.
in Earth.
I was sometime back when I don't know whether I watch YouTube. Or read from any magazine that they mentioned that Pluto is no longer a planet. That's where when you you explained, you said that I wasn't surprised, but I don't know why actually. So you gave a very good explanation about it. So interesting. Okay, what one space-related fact that always amazes you?
I'm
What
sorry. Come again.
one space-related fact always amazes you. You find it's amazing. Something like if you ask me, I'll say the ring around the Saturn
Okay.
planet.
Well,
It amazes me. I was thinking, why that planet particularly
two
has a
things.
ring. Ah,
From the astronomical point of view, supermassive black holes.
ah,
I'm like I love them. And then
ah. What is
or
the function
black
of
hole in
the black
general.
hole?
Black
What's the
holes,
function?
yes, but supermassive black holes are like another kind of thing. So I really like it.
Ah,
And then um, for and space exploration to like the ability to travel outside to other places in the solar system.
okay. I'm going to ask you another interesting question. Interesting question. If you could have dinner with any of the astronaut or scientists or past or present, who would you like to be with having dinner?
Oh,
Which astronaut or scientist you love to have?
oh, um, oh. Okay.
Armstrong,
So
Neil Armstrong,
Jim
Collins.
Grant.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I don't know that. I don't remember who is the
I would
person.
like to have dinner with Jim Grant, or and also yeah, some astronauts in the space station. Now what's interesting is that the astronauts in the station, they transmit through YouTube channel their lives, so you can see their day-to-day life and see how they, I don't
Oh,
know,
in space.
yes,
Huh.
it's
Maybe
very
you can send
interesting.
me one of the YouTube link on my WhatsApp so I can watch.
Yeah,
I can
and it's very interesting. But yes, I
interesting.
would like
Yeah.
to talk
Okay.
to them.
Now, I think you really today is a really I say I'm speechless. So such a wonderful session today with you, and I myself learned a lot of things about you.
Thank you.
Your journey and what you were sharing. Okay, describe about your job in 3 words. Now I give you 3 words. Describe about your job.
Um,
3 words.
you have to be calm in very stressful situations.
Yeah, do nothing especially. Okay,
um, you have to be curious
curious. Yes.
to learn new things, sometimes that are difficult, and they are not related to what you studied. So curious, and also you have to learn to be to let go of your ideas. You have to be able to listen to everybody's ideas,
Uh-huh.
and be able to let go your own ideas, and
Accept your own idea.
accept that perhaps other ideas are better and or are
Yeah,
right and yours are wrong. And I think that this would be three.
yeah. Sometimes you can be right, but others' ideas and all will be better. That's why, like for me, I think I learn a lot by asking people. I'm not afraid or shy to ask people because I know if I can learn something new, I'll be a better person. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what. Very interesting. Okay, dear, fantastic. I think you finish your tea or coffee. I have a little bit more.
Yeah,
Let's
I finished.
Finally, I finished mine. Okay, dear. Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail. Such an interesting session. Oh, I love to have you again on our session. Maybe we will invite you for our Sustainable Development Goal Forum, where you can talk about waste management in space. Do you think you'd like to join us? Will be the
Yeah,
same time. The same
great.
time, it will be only about 30 to 40 minute session. We will give you questions to prepare, simple questions. You can prepare slides and come and share because I think your knowledge you are sharing is so edifying.
Well, thank
See,
you very much, and thank you for having me, for inviting me. It
thank
was
you,
such
thank
a
you,
good
thank you.
time.
Yeah, thank you so much, dear. Okay, it's time now to thank, I think, 1 hour. We had our 1 hour session, exactly 1 hour. It's all right. Yeah, it was really such an interesting session. So I think our audience would have enjoyed much. And please share with your childrens, so that the story our Dr. Abigail shared will shed light to them, sow good seeds into them, and motivate them to move into the direction of STEM. Yeah, because
Yeah,
like you see now, Gen Z and all that, they don't want to work for people. They don't want to work in certain industries. They just want to be their own boss, and they want to tell the bosses what to do. You see, yeah, we have a lot of good values to learn from them, but again, it's managing them is really tough because they are very smart and they think very far. Okay, and of course, every generation has its own skill. So through
yeah.
this session, I'm very sure many of our Gen Z, X, Y, Z, as well as Alpha, yeah, we are moving into Alpha now, so they will gain much insight from your sharing, Dr. Abigail. Thank you, dear audience. Thank you
Thank you very
so
much.
much for coming and being with us. 1 hour is really a lot of treasure to all our audience and myself. I enjoyed the session. Will we meet again with another unique expert from space? I'm looking for space now, since we are with the Saktisat mission. So I'm giving opportunity to more of our ambassadors. So if our ambassadors are listening, please contact me if you wish to be one of my guests. Coffee with Estella. Thank you so much. Happy
Thank you
weekend
so
and
much
have
for
fun.
having me.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for your.
much. Abigail. Such an interesting session. I can say again and again and again. Amazing. Bye
Thank
bye.
you very much. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank